Hello, and welcome to Gaia Art Bar podcast, where we talk about creative sovereignty, following that inner authority as we create from a multidimensional perspective. And today, I'm so honored to welcome Yukia Sandara. She's very well known as a light worker, and she offers light language transmissions, and she also works with sacred sites. Hello, Yukia. Welcome.
Hi, hello. It's an honor to be here and really beautiful to reconnect.
Yes, yes, I met Yukia on an amazing trip that we did to Egypt and visiting sites there. So, Yukia, tell us about yourself. How did you start with doing these transmissions? Was it an initiation? When did you start speaking light language?
Well, it was actually the first time that I started speaking was with the death of my cousin, so we're talking about 2000, the year 2000, 2002. Um, you know, she died
Wow.
unexpectedly, yeah, and with an accident. And it was, I had been already doing a lot of sound work, vowel, so like an harmonic resonance, bringing in that, and working with the waters and the planet, but the language and came first, as a message from her, from the other side, beyond the veil, you know,
Wow.
in a automatic writing. It
So
was
it was a
uh,
personal connection at first.
the yeah the first connection with the language
Okay.
was an automatic writing that wasn't just writing. It was full of geometry, and it had glyphs, and it had codes, and it had
Wow.
a lot of symbols that I did not understand, and there were like 4, 5, 6 pages of this, very, very quick. um, and then a transmission came, a sound amplification of what was written, in a song, which was also new because it had just been sounds and harmonics at that stage, at a very low tone. Yes. So that
So
was like the start.
so light language is a form of communication that's beyond words and the intellect, is
That's
how
right.
I understand it. So that's why
Yes.
it's coming through as symbols, which
Yes.
your field receives, and then that
Yes.
symbol activates some kind of quality or some kind of message. And
Yes. So
sound as well does that. The
yes,
sound.
so the sound was, for me, was the activator. It was the catalyst. So the sound always always used to come first. The sound. It was through the sound that the writing, then the scripts came through, and so it was like through the sounds, when the sound, when there is a resonance, a field created through the sound, there is like a stream of light in the form of glyphs, of visionary art forms sometimes, and shapes and geometry,
And
um, and
color as
and
well.
and lots of colors.
Right.
A rainbow of different colors, and
Wow.
um, and it's like in a wave form that comes in, that came in, and there's a pulse. It's like a pulse that comes from within what I call the tiny space of the heart, the tiny layer of the heart, where the innate knowing which I didn't know at the time, but now I do. That's where the innate knowing, we carry our innate knowing, our direct knowing, that spontaneous gut feeling, that when someone asks you a question, you suddenly, you respond from that innate knowing.
So
And
then, so that's what is activated, an innate knowing,
yes.
correct?
Uh,
And so what were the first messages that you received?
Well,
Like,
the first message was obviously this communication beyond the veil, and I had um, I had dealt with the communication behind the veil before since I was a child, um, with people that had crossed over, or with people that with ancestors, and with the little llamas that appeared, that I called my solar team, the small ones, and the tall ones. Um,
oh,
but
really?
this
Llamas,
yes,
llamas, like
yeah.
the animal.
No, 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 not that the animal, the the
The
the Tibetan
oh, the
Tibetan
Dalai, like the Dalai
the,
Lama. Like
yes.
the okay. All
Yeah,
right.
there's a team of little llamas that used to come through when I was 6, 7 years old, and and
Oh,
and the
wow.
tall ones, which I call them the solar beings, the sun elders. I call them the solar beings, the sun elders. Um, but they were visions. There were visions, and they had a pulse. They had the same sensation. Your heart starts beating. There is an expansion. There is an explosion from within outwards. But the resonance really started, um, with um, that first step to initiation, which was the communication beyond the veil of someone that was very close to me, not only my cousin, but one of my best friends.
That's
And
so beautiful because then that gives you like a certain security or a certain grounding, right? As you're exploring these different connections. So that's very interesting.
and
Yeah.
the you know and we had many conversations about the visions, about the telepathic transfers, about the innate, that direct knowing that sometimes came in. um we had shared many of this, and also the path that I was about, the step that I was about to take from corporate life into a walkabout, where I was about to take that step, and I was always resisting taking that step. And the message was, take the step, basically. Was it's I was given the vision of an enchanted garden, and then uh, the waters of the ocean of love, basically many oceans with beautiful um, types of sea animals, the dolphins, the whales, the sound of the whales, very, very strong. um and then a,
Mm,
a message basically communicating, it's time it's time very soon for you to choose from love, and not from need, and not from uncertainty, the fear of uncertainty. um, and um,
wow.
and then there was a path in the sea, in the ocean of love, which I called the ocean, that opened up, just like just like when Joshua opened the seas. There was like a path,
Mm,
you know, and it was showing me that the path is there. Just just walk into it, you know.
beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
And so then, okay, so then you're receiving so you left the corporate life. And
Yeah, I left the corporate life much later because, of course,
okay.
disappeared. The communication started from then on started getting extremely intense. I would say, with lots of writing, but also lots of vowel sounds, and until I received the guidance, which was through a being that was, so to speak, in the earth plane, but wasn't really in the earth plane. That guided me to do certain rituals, which were part of the initiation path. Okay, and they had to do with water. I had to actually get into these baths every single week at the same time, you know, where my team would be around me, where I would be connecting with the creator, and I would be submerging myself into the water and trying to make the sounds inside the water first. Okay.
Mm,
I'd put a candle on, um, you know, sandalwood essence or rose essence in the water, um, a rose, in the bath, and these baths would take more or less, 15 minutes basically, and it had to be every single week, and once or twice we started with 3 times a week, and then started decreasing, because this whole thing lasted a year, you know and as the first time, it was the submergence into the water and the purification rituals, the clearing of the field, that the message was very clear. You need to clear, you need to purify, you need to, there is a lot that needs to move out in order for something to move in, you know.
yes. There's
Um,
like an unraveling that occurs in these
yeah,
initiations, and the work with the water is very important because the water can hold these different frequencies. We
yes,
know that. Like we can communicate with the water through sound, and
yes.
it can hold those frequencies. And then you can submerge your whole being into the water, and then the body is like 75% water or
Yes, so
more.
it's a matching frequency, and
Yes, I love that.
so you sort of blending what I felt at that time, and the sound wasn't yet coming out, because I had no gift of voice, I always wanted to sing but didn't have a voice, so by doing the sounds inside the water first, and then I started doing the sounds outside the water, and just making vowel sounds, ma, hum, na, things, vowel sounds first, and just re staying very present, and in the emptiness, complete emptiness, nothing else. There were
Mm,
no thoughts, there was nothing. And then slowly the elevation, the resonance of the voice started being catalyzed and activated, and then it formed into what I call shape, you know, because it if so from the from sh- you actually, you're not forming into shape, because the shape already exists, but and then we've just come into form, so it's just recalling that shape, so the geometries, recalling the symbols, and then recalling the songs. So the songs started arising. I started singing in languages that I did not understand, you know. So the unspoken, that were already inside the DNA already, that this body held, but they were unspoken. so so I started singing those songs, and the songs very much came initially, from ancient Aramaic. That was the first one. So
Aramaic. So that's
Aramaic.
the Christ, that's the language of Jesus, of
Yeah.
Yeshua.
Yes, and I was
Wow.
taken then to quite a lot of visions. It was like a script of visions where I was speaking in tongues in different gatherings at different times in my incarnations. And so it was a language that I
Fascinating.
I
Wow.
had more cognizance than the others that came after. So I could say this is a joyful moment, or this is about grief or loss, or I could sort of contextualize it because my mind was very active, and
Mhm.
um, and so I would, after it, I would ponder over it and say, well, this is about that. Um,
So speaking in tongues, so there is a connection between that tradition, speaking in tongues, which is from the time that the spirit descended into matter,
yes, that's right.
right? And light language. So that's fascinating that you had memories
Yeah,
of that time period and being present in that time period.
yes,
That's incredible. And and it seems like there's like a very intense uh descending, because we talk a
yes,
lot about ascension, but what's happening now is like this descending of spirit into the planet and into matter and
yes.
into the body.
That's
I'm
exactly
feeling
how I
like a new
felt.
level of that descent of spirit and
Yes.
yeah, so that's
I
amazing.
I found that the initiations that took place, first starting with that, was very much an anchoring, a dissension of the remembrance of those those languages, of the practices, because in the visions there were healings, instantaneous healings. There were, miracle healings. It was very quick. It was, everything would appear as I started singing. They would appear like a movie script, but very, very quick in an accelerated way.
Hmm. So you're
And the,
integrating. It's like an integration also. Like you're
yeah,
remembering and then integrating those
yeah,
gifts, those qualities, those skills,
yes,
then
and
came forth, right?
came
The
forth
singing, the voice.
the voice, the singing, and then the next ones were the Sumerian language, and that one was interesting because it came as a resonance, but after the after being sang, I would I would then, after the bath, or the initiation in water, I would script it with, I started scripting it with my hand in paper, a whole lot of pages, very, very quick, of something I did not understand, you know but
So what did you learn about the Sumerians? Because the Sumerians, that would be the first known civilization, like the first people that we at this time are aware of on the
yeah,
planet. Did
the
you
the
learn
the
anything
the
about
most
them?
the most ancient
Yeah,
one.
the most
They call
ancient.
they presented themselves as the ancient ones, to the ancient ones, and the ones that we birthed through the first umbilical cord. Um, so that was. basically it. But I was very guided at that time by this communication through email, which I thought it was a real person. It was a Buddhist, supposedly a Buddhist monk. Okay, not to go into my head, not to try and interpret, not to try and label, and not to try and research, and not to try and analyze
Mm.
anything. So, so and I think that in retrospective, that was actually very good guidance, because it it it, it then opened the field to the next resonance uh, languages that came through, which were Polynesian, um, which was a Polynesian language, but it was a language from Mu. It was a
Lemuria,
Lemurian. It
like
was a
Lemuria.
Lemurian. Yes, so it was the first major language was the Lemurian language, and with all the resonance that it had, and it was very a sing-along language in the beginning. Um, and then the ancient Egyptian language came through, you know, not the Atlantean, more modern, more the Egyptian language that came through afterwards. And then it changed. It changed into, but these were all in songs. Okay, it's all in songs. So the spoken word um, only came in the when the connection with the interplanetary languages came through, which the first one was the Pleiadian. Um, uh, that's when I also integrated that. That was my first that I came in with that blueprint. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
So that's the then so it's like you went through these different civilizations,
yes.
right? And then you start making these galactic uh
Connections,
communications. Yeah.
yes. So we then had the Palladian one for a long time. In terms of songs, spoken language, um, visual drawings that I started scripting, visual art that I started scripting, and then the Syrian language, which was different, you know. So the the Syrian's language um, came in with a whole lot of totem animals. I would call it totem animals because there were the dolphins, then there were the white lions, and um, and then there were the whales that came in. It it was like a blending of it. Then the Venusians, the Venusian blueprint, very soft, very tender, very pure, very softly spoken language, and also the songs were also very gentle, um,
Mhm.
and very feminine energy coming in, and until then, really the sounds and the songs and the spoken language add a more masculine imprint. Okay, but from the Venusian frequency onwards, which was blended with the Lyrian frequency, was quite a feminine transition that was made. You know,
So you became you were transmitting all these different frequencies
yes,
as a being on the earth,
yes,
so it's like you become like a acupuncture point on the planet that is
mhm,
receiving from the
yes.
heavens and from the earth,
And from the earth, because
so that was
I felt I was receiving from both sides, because it was
yeah.
never only one. So even on the time during the time that I started connecting with my with my primary planet, where I came through before, and with the Pleiadians, and then with Lyra, and then with Venus. um I was receiving at the same time a lot of frequencies from Pachamama, from the earth, that connected me to past civilizations, and until a point that the predominant frequency from the earth was really the ancient Aramaic and the Lemurian language.
Wow.
That was that those two stabilized. They sort of grounded those two. Yeah.
Well, that what an incredible initiation and also shift in the way that you see and perceive and the your beingness on the
Yes.
planet.
That
And
was a huge shift, a huge
yeah.
shift. And at the time, my physical body was undergoing a very trying time. I had had many illnesses, one after the other. There was always something that there was an intensity and a density in the body. And as this process, these seven initiations, because there were seven stages to the initiation, it was a total of 2 years, um, took place. The body started recalibrating, resetting, changing shape of the face, changing even the muscle mass started changing. There were a lot of changing, but there was an improvement, an overall improvement of health, an overall of
Mhm.
health, and of emotional stability. Um, and I would say mental clarity and focus also at the same time. And also,
Yeah.
there was also an anticipation, of wanting to know more, because the mind sometimes would take take over and say, you know, this is not okay that I'm just singing or writing or drawing or making my sign languages. I would like to know, I would like to decode the languages. But that was shut down very, very quickly, and say this is not this stage. The stages of initiation are not about any decoding. It's about just embracing the the vibrations that are already installed in your DNA. So, eh, because these languages, these vibrations, this resonance brings coherence, and as it brings coherence inside the body, it activates the DNA, it promotes healing, and you are able to also start slowly accessing universal information that you had no access points before, you know which
Yeah, you're
was
accessing different dimensions.
because you were
Yeah.
accessing different. And for me at that time it was different waves, but now I know it was different dimensional stages. um
So how
so
did you start? Okay, so you're going through all of this.
yeah.
Which sounds very solitary that you didn't
No,
have
it was
very solitary. So then how did you go from there to doing like healings and light
then.
language transmissions and having like a healing practice, working with other people? How did that come about?
Well, it started by being guided after the completion of my initiation, because I had to complete it, and I had the guidance was do nothing before you complete. You know, you practice. You can practice um, on a daily basis. You can sing to family, but do not initiate anything. So after the completion of the initiations, of the different initiations and practices that took place, then I started doing healings to my family members on the weekends. I was still in corporate life, but doing that. So that was my practice. And the first time I had no clue what was I going to do. You know, I had my healing bed set up in one room as per guidance. I had all my crystals underneath the bed, okay, on the floor. I set up a beautiful room, and I had my first client, which was a family member. I think it was my mother at that stage. And I just brought in the practice, you know, brought in how
So,
how the practice was going to unfold. I
so
asked for
then there's a
guidance.
channeling. You started channeling as well, like the energy,
Yes,
the healing processes. Um, so you're a channel.
yeah, yes. I started channeling the aspects of myself that were now in grounding. They were still being grounded, but they were, that they descended inside. And first, so that I would open a session with a song or with a number of sounds, and then I felt that when I did that, I was able to scan the physical, mental, emotional, spirit body of the person automatically, and actually um, identify where, if there was an interrupted channel, or if there was a distortion, if there was a repair, or if there was a blockage of some sort, and then that would be the first part. That was the first part, and then that would probably take 20 minutes, and then uh, I started bringing in a message, in different languages. So, in the language of light, which could have been vegan, or could have been Venusian, and then the decoding um, of that message, the translation of that message into context, because this language is not. There's no direct translation to the language. It
Yeah,
is.
it's more like a an expansion and also a feeling, like a state of more like a feeling,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
As
feeling
opposed
that
to a
emanates.
mental
Yes.
realization.
So it's a feeling that
Yeah.
emanates through the heart, and it just contains this purity. It's this universal purity, and then, you know, uh, it's then translated into some context, which is in a very summarized way. Um,
So
so
let's talk a little bit about like these. Okay, so you had this initiation that launched this, your practice and but initiations continue throughout your life. It's
oh
not
yes, oh
like,
yes, oh
okay, I
yes.
went through this and now everything's great. Like it's just constantly evolving.
Yes,
Your
that was
state
the
is
the
constantly evolving, right?
yes, it's constantly evolving, and just when I thought, well, I've now completed the initiation, and my body is, as its optimal function, like I used to call it, you know, um, I'm feeling light, I'm on my way, the party's opening, and I am just watching to see where it's taking me, you know uh, a few years later, I was having a whole death and a rebirth again,
Right.
where more parts of myself were collapsing because I was still in corporate light. I had not made the shift straight away, as I was guided to do, you know, out so out of need, basically, and out of not being ready fully, um, I continued to plod along on doing my corporate life and just doing this as a part-time, you know,
Mm.
and that threw me into a massive collapse of the body.
Yeah.
That one wasn't a small, it was a massive collapse, and a death and a rebirth again. And I've gone through five of these. The last
Yeah.
one was last year, started last year, August, and I was only out of the woods, in December. It was a
Yeah.
long death and rebirth.
Which
So,
is really hard when you're going through it, because all of those, you're purging,
yes,
it's like the dark night of the soul where you
yes,
feel,
it is.
and the dark night of the soul is that you're experiencing separation. You're purging separation
Hmm.
from the divine and from your own self, right? So you're going to experience that separation. You're going to feel that separation. You're going to feel alone. You're going to feel abandoned. You're going to feel all those really challenging and complex feelings. And it's really hard if you don't. And you may even know that, okay, I'm in a dark night, I'm going through this purging and recalibration, da, da, da. But it's still very difficult
It
to
is.
be
It
in
is.
that, to be
Because,
kind of cut off from
yeah,
your divine
there
nature.
was there was awareness all the time that I was in a dark night of the soul. But that didn't make it better, you know.
Right.
That
It's still,
the what the collapse, the fracture, of the distortions, the realigning of it, the repairing that had to take place, and it came together with the feelings of abandonment, feelings of um, you know, I'm not worthy of this path, or
mm,
I'm I keep on having these collapses, what is it that I'm doing that is not in for the highest good, what level of distortions do I need to cease, or what ancient contracts or agreements with my soul group have I made, before coming into this incarnation, that I haven't completed or I haven't healed. What is it? Show me, reveal to me, or is it my time to leave? Because there was also that, and especially in this last one, it was very, very strong. Having had, quite a rich path in terms of journeys, traveling all over the world for 15 years, exchanging with the indigenous wisdom, sharing healings, sharing teaching, sharing wisdom, and then, creating an incredible project and then collapsing again, but this time the collapse was more radical than the others. It was a
yeah.
complete collapse of the old um, of the old paradigms, the old programs that were still there, especially the program of lack, the program of making choices because you need to survive, because you need to get on with your life, and not choices from the love that you are, and from a premise of trust, that everything is going to unfold, and that you're going to have elegant sufficiency to carry on your path. It was a huge collapse, that that felt like a the a you know a certain death, like almost a certainty that you were leaving the planet.
Wow. Yeah.
More didn't feel on the others that it was like that, but on this one it did. And it took a lot of surrender, and it was deliberately, because it was deliberate so that you could surrender completely, you know, and just just let go. I remember having a conversation, when I was extremely sick, um, but for me, I was like hanging from a thread because the life force was not flowing. I didn't feel it was flowing from within me, and saying, if it's my time, I'm ready to go. And getting a very clear message: no, it's definitely not. It's not your time. You just need to surrender and let
Well, it
go.
reminds me, you're reminding me of, again, Yeshua, who
Yes,
is very strong right now. Like many, many people are receiving communication and
yes,
healing and all kinds of teaching from him right now. Many light workers
yes.
are experiencing this. But, like the story of him where he knew he was going to be going through this very physical, very difficult physical initiation. And he was asking, can you take, if is it possible for you to take this cup away from me? You know,
Yes.
because it's like,
Yes, in my
it's not
conversation,
easy, these things. And it's really different from, some of the new age consciousness,
yes,
where, there's this belief that, if this starts happening, this collapse or this physical issue or illness or experience of lack, that you're doing something wrong, or that you're not following the law of attraction properly, or like there's that whole spiritual capitalism
mm.
going on, which which I think that is being unraveled.
Yes,
And
it's
a
a
lot of
spiritual
us,
mind,
all of us are going through some challenges and that are necessary because again, it's like unraveling perceptions of ourselves that is false, that needs to dissolve,
Exactly.
that's holding us back, that's keeping us in fear, and
Hmm.
that doesn't allow us to surrender, and when you're going through something like that, what you described, and thank you so much for being
Hmm.
so open and sharing about it. It's like it's necessary, and it's very, very difficult, but it's your journey. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that you're like coming into deeper alignment with yourself as a divine being, and all these perceptions of what success is, what having a mission is, and all of those kinds of things, abundance, all
Hmm.
your ideas of abundance, and these, all of that starts to just fall apart, so
Yes,
that what's real, then what's
is
real.
what remains. It's what
Yeah.
remains. And although there was an awareness, in myself, in my field, that this was the case, the complete fracture of the ego mind that is attached to those, um, attached to notions of abundance, notions of worthiness, notions of mission, notions of destiny, notions of communication with the divine, notions of communications with your body. Everything started breaking one by one, one by one, and there was nothing left, because there was no there was such an emptiness for such a long time. For almost 3 months there was such an emptiness that there was nothing to grasp or seek, because everything had collapsed and fractured, and but yet there was the silence, which was the sign, the encouragement. I would say the encouragement was this, a set, it wasn't even a reset, it was like a a silent space that was deep, and that lasted for a long time, with no thoughts. There was no tolerance for noise of any nature, for no reading, no activity whatsoever, and there was only a paralysis of the body in the bed, you know, because it was difficult to get up and even walk and feel that you had the energy because the life force had gone. Okay, it was fading, was fading. And at the time of when there was a complete, for me, there was a turning point, and it was on the 20th of December. From August, gradually
That's
getting worse,
and
worse, worse.
that's the winter solstice.
Yeah,
Or
it was
no, it was the
that day.
summer solstice where you are because you're in Peru.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had for the first time, as I connected directly to the Creator, to
Mm.
God directly, without my team, because my team had abandoned me, you know. There was lots of abandonment stages. There was a family abandonment from lack of understanding of what was really going on, you know. There
Mhm.
was a neglect in understanding my state from many light workers, from many friends,
Well, because
and
it's scary.
mm,
It's scary to see someone you love going through that. And
yes, it is.
then you kind of go, oh, is this going to happen to me? And
It
so
is.
that, like, oh no, this is going to happen.
No,
And so
I
that's,
understood that
it's very
it
hard.
wasn't
Yeah.
intentional or deliberate, but of course there was pain in the observation of that, because by that
Yeah, of
time I was
course.
already in observation, and there were the feelings of abandonment, the feelings of rejection, but at the same time an understanding that this is so difficult to grasp from the outside unless you are inside the fire, because there was a lot of fire. There was like this sensation of the body being in water and fire, fire and water, fire and water, which
Well,
are
it's because you're
the,
burning away. We talk about this a lot.
yes,
Burning away the imprints, the
yes,
samskaras. And we talk about this a lot in
yes,
the
yes,
samskaras and
boarding the stars,
imprints,
boarding all that
the
was,
fire.
the fire the fire and the water were essential elements, within this process. The heated temperatures that I would reach during the night, for example, and then the coldest feelings that I would feel early times of the morning and during the day. This was ongoing. It was ongoing.
Wow.
Um,
So,
yet,
what was it like when you connected directly? You said, I connected
see,
directly
because I need to share this,
to the
because I
light.
connected directly, and I had many visions of the path of Joshua during my illness, during my last the night, the dark night, this last one, many visions, and there was this guide, this voice almost inside, connect directly, and I connected directly, and I started connecting a week before the solstice, the 20th, because I wasn't even aware of the solstice at that state, because I was just empty, I couldn't receive any information from anybody. I couldn't see anyone. Um, and I started having direct conversations with God. Yeah, I called it Creator, you know. And I the first time I felt that there was a feedback loop. I was receiving something. I couldn't understand it, but it was okay. I was in receipt of something for the first time during all those months. I was in receipt of something. It was a pulse. It was like a opening. When you break an egg, and the egg then opens up. It felt like that. And um, and then I started getting uh, telepathic transmissions, from from uh, uh, from my conversations, about the remaining. You are remaining. You're not leaving. You know, your path will be unfolding. Don't be attached to what is coming through. Stay on, stay on in the flow. There's flow. Embrace the sacred fire, breathe the sacred fire. There were certain breaths that I started doing automatically, which, I've never really engaged in a lot of breath work, but I started doing it automatically. And then on the night, on the a night of, it was late afternoon of the 20th, you know, the which, I felt I was mutating. The body was mutating, started trembling. Even when I got up, I could no longer get up without trembling. My hands were trembling. Um, there was this electricity, there was this magnetic current, which I felt many times when I had transmissions. Um, and I said, no, I just need to lie. There's no way. I can't do anything else. And then there was this huge light that came into the room. It was a huge light. I've never seen a light like this because this was evening, It illuminated, it was late afternoon, it illuminated the whole room, and the light seemed to linger forever, but it must have been just maybe half an hour, or I'm not sure. I can't tell you all what it was, but the feeling was undescribable, you know, and it reminded me uh, of the Holy Spirit, the teachings of the Holy Spirit, and the current of the Holy Spirit coming down during those times that in other timelines I had been speaking in tongues, and felt this current. But this light was a love experienced that I've never experienced before. I've never experienced this type of love before. Not from a mother, not from a child, not from the planet, not from anything. It was a love that was so nurturing, and I knew,
Mm,
I
the
knew,
light,
I
the
knew
light
that,
of God.
yeah, it was, and it was fire. Huh? My body was in complete fire during
Mm,
that time of the light, and I just knew that this was the blessing and this was the shift. And it was, because after a week, the body rebooted so quickly, accelerated in an accelerated, um, the clarity, the focus, the trembling subsided. Um, I even felt, when you start trembling a lot, for a long period of time, your mind takes you to Alzheimer's, to this, to that, it was like such a quick stabilization. It was like, it reminded me of a scuba diver equalizing underneath the water. So the body was equalizing, the body was stabilizing during, but fast. It was a fast. Within a week, I could stand. I had a little bit of appetite because I had no appetite whatsoever. Um, I could drink without feeling that I kept on being thirsty all the time. My eyes could focus because they could focus, but they were sore inside. I couldn't see, you know, clearly. I could see in a cloud. Um, it was remarkable. It was the
incredible.
improvement was remarkable,
So I
and
just want to say that anybody who's watching this, who's going through something like this, because, not everybody goes through these things, but
no,
you could be going through this and you don't have like with Yukia, maybe family members, people close to you are not going through it and they don't understand. And
Mm-mm.
it's hard for them to offer support that is helpful, right? And so if you're listening to this and you're going through something like that, like first of all, like what I'm hearing is we have to be very patient, that
Mhm.
this is a process and it's hard and it's uncomfortable. But in the discomfort is the fire, right? Like we have to allow the if it's your turn, if it's your time to go through this, the only option is surrender.
It's the
And if
only option.
somebody's going through something like this, can they contact you, Yukia, to talk with
Yes, of
you
course. They
and work
can.
with you? Because I
They
feel like
can.
you have so much from this experience. It gives you wisdom, it gives you
Mhm.
strength, it gives you the skill to offer support to somebody who may be going through this and they feel very abandoned and alone. And
Yes.
and I also love that, okay, so it's like patience and it's
Mm.
really uncomfortable. But we have to remember this is a purification, that this separation
Yes.
is dissolving. And you experienced it, like the light
Yes.
descending
The light.
into your being, the Holy Spirit. And I have heard this experience from other people that I'm close to on the path.
Hmm.
And it seems that this is happening, this descent of the Holy Spirit, the
Hmm.
holy light
Yes, the
is
holy light.
descending in
Because
in a whole
it was
new
a holy light.
frequency. Yeah, the
And
holy light.
and that holy light sort of just alchemized the residues of the collapse, in a swift way, but yet you didn't feel it. You didn't feel it because you were embraced in this nurturing love that was everlasting, you
Mm,
know, that was everlasting. And it was just undescribable. And
incredible.
my connection, of course, and my conversations continue, you know, with with the divine. I call it the divine, the creator, and
And
it
there's
has
like a
to be,
simplification.
yes, it's a
Because it's not
simplification.
so much now, like, a lot of light workers talk about, like we're having a paradigm shift. And
Yes,
this whole thing of raising your vibration and raising your frequency and
yes,
being in higher dimensions and all this kind of stuff is nothing compared to the light, the holy light.
no, it's
And
nothing.
we can call forth that light. We
We
can
can,
we can and say, be with me, holy light.
yeah, be
I
with me.
can, just be with me. And it's very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. But you have to get into that place of surrender that is complete. It's complete surrender, And you are, this is it. I'm ready. I'm ready to join, to to actually move on, or I'm ready to receive whatever I need to receive. So letting go of complete control was the biggest challenge that I had. Even complete control of the programs that were collapsing. And I would like to mention that yes, the attachment to family and to family actions is also a program, you know because everybody's in different frequencies, in different levels of of their path on earth. And uh, and no one is going to fix you from the outside, even if they extend support, you know but the expectation of support was something that I had to crash, you know and I had to collapse, and
Even
I had
from
to
your
let go.
guides, even from
Even
your
even from
spirit
my guides, because
team.
that was my first, my first collapse was that, you know.
But
Um,
would you say that now you're having this more direct connection
a much more direct
with the
connection.
divine, with the light?
Yes, yes, much
It's
more. It's a
just
very
very,
different connection. It's a
yeah.
different connection. It hasn't got even though I had the understanding that all those aspects of myself, of that team that I called my team, were inside myself. That was still an attachment to the team, and a lack of sovereignty from myself, because my team is guiding me. Okay, they're guiding me from inside, but it's them. So there was a separation still. Even though there was a dissension, there was that understanding, there was still a separation between me and my team. And now there is no separation because there is no team. There is me and the divine.
I love that.
And
I,
then,
wow,
you
that's
know,
it. Like that.
that
Oh my
that's it.
God. There's no
That's it.
separation
You
because
know,
there's
and
no team. It's
and I
just the divine. It's just God.
yes, and
God.
I had gifts along the way of incredible um, friends, heart to heart friends that were by my side.
Hmm. And you made the move to,
To Peru.
and I remember
No, but
because,
this happened in Peru. I made the move to Peru, but as I arrived in Peru, after 3 weeks, I got severely ill. So it was obviously coming. It was manifesting. It was already manifested in the body. And it just needed to be in an incubator. This is
well,
an
I saw
incubator.
you. I remember we were together in Portugal, which
Yes.
was wonderful.
Yes.
Like almost a couple of years now. And I remember we had this conversation where you said, "I'm not going back to Peru."
Yes.
So there's an example of,
Yes.
like we think we're making plans, but then, it's not you making decisions at this point.
No, it is
And-
not because
Right? And now you are in Peru, and it turned out to be an incredible healing place. Now you have a lot of experience in Peru. You've spent a lot of
yes.
time there. So how is
Mhm.
it, how is, are you still working with the sacred sites, or, have you been doing that,
During
or has that shifted?
no, of course, during all those months, I wasn't able to do anything, not anything physical, but definitely things, um, connections, connecting to the sites around me, where I am in my location, which is the Sacred Valley, and receiving the nurturing of those sites. And I would say that's all I could take, nothing else, you know.
And there's
Um,
a temple of the sun there where you are, the
yes,
Pisa.
exactly,
There's an
exactly.
important
Which is
sanctuary.
for me, it's an
Yeah.
important sanctuary because very connected to the sun, since my early childhood, and the sun within. So I felt very much embraced by that,
Mm.
embraced, embraced by those soul sisters that were holding me here and providing me a space for, and some that were remotely holding the space. You were one of them, but there were quite a few of them that I want to extend my gratitude. And then the change that took place within the family unit, or my family lineage, from resistance to assist to readiness to give everything. That also took place in the last months when things became really critical. And someone outside the family reminded them, how critical it was.
Mm.
Then the whole dynamic changed. There was massive healing. in the family,
Mhm.
you know, through mother, father, through, all the lineages, through my own siblings that always stood beside me, that I also didn't feel their presence at the critical time, you know, until they understood, you know, the dynamic, that this was a time to actually embrace and to give and to assist, unconditionally, from lack of understanding of what was really playing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have no grudges. I bear no grudges to anyone, because I've never done that. I'm in throughout my life. You know, those are that had to happen for my surrender and my letting go to be complete. It
Okay,
wouldn't have
I
happened.
love that. I just want to emphasize this, what you just said. That had to happen in order for me to receive this holy light,
Yes,
because that's
that
what
had to
happened
happen.
in the
It
end.
was mastery. I
Yeah,
always say it was yes, it was painful, at the time, you know, but it was a master gesture,
yeah,
There was mastery in it because
yes,
when everything is crumbling and there's no one there, you know, you have no option but to that's when you can let go. That's when you allow that complete surrender to
yeah. And
whatever
there's
is
no
going to happen.
distraction. There's no distraction.
There's no
There's
distraction.
no band-aid.
Yes,
You had to be prepared to be in that place where you could receive that incredible
yes,
blessing.
yes. And
So,
that changed a lot of uh that changed a lot of things, also within myself. It was accelerated improvement, really a miraculous recovery in such a short period of time, the strength getting back, but also the focus and clarity of um, how do I move from here, you know, um, and not with no attachment, because today I still have no attachment and I still have no preconceived ideas how I'm going to move, except that I have a strong calling to share what has happened, up to this point, and to
it's
share,
important. It's
yeah,
important.
to share the wisdom and to share the love and to to walk with others that are still going to be going through this. Some of you will not go through this,
Right.
but
That's
but
important to understand as
yeah,
well. Not everybody
it's
goes
not
through that.
everyone that
Yeah.
goes through this, and um, the
Because sometimes you're like, why is this happening to me? Everybody else is having a great time. And I'm in this suffering,
but
and
it was
why? Yeah,
it
it's
was a
hard.
gift. It was a gift. There was a lot of mastery. The I'm holding a lot of gratitude, and I'm just being called to share. This is the second interview that I've made in 6 days, in 5 days actually. You know, I'm called to start sharing my wisdom with face-to-face classes here in the Sacred Valley, in whatever way it comes to me at the time. Um, there is no, uh, I find that there is no plan. There is no plan. You know, I have no plan. I move from one thing to another, and and uh, and the flow is going to open the grace of what the next step is presenting.
Well, again, it's very different approach, because it's like an awareness. First of all, you're emanating a depth that
Hmm.
comes from going through these types of initiations. And
Hmm.
you know that it's not you. It's,
Yes,
like the ego personality. It is God
yes,
moving through you.
Yes,
without the obstructions that were there before. So
exactly.
you don't have to plan anything, you know?
No,
It's
I
like a
just have
waste of
to.
time.
I
Yeah,
just have to step in. Someone asked.
yeah.
I booked
And
a podcast here, with the studio, and someone asked me, "So, what are you going to talk about?" And I said, "I have no idea." I
yeah,
am
that's the way to
asked
do
to.
it.
I'm asked to appear, to deliver, you know, and that's what I'm going to do. You know.
Fantastic. I'm
Yes.
so, I am so excited to see you so beautiful and doing and having recovered and holding space for the light, which is so important in these times. So
Mm.
thank you for your work because,
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
also this work affects the collective
Exactly.
in ways
Exactly.
that the light continues to expand and
The light
reveal
continues to expand,
and
and
illuminate
there were
our
certain
world.
things. It's interesting that there's certain things that remained, the same, and that but maybe with a different tone. We don't know yet. The singing, the sound work is critical in this journey. It's, I wouldn't say critical, but I said it's in the flow of this journey.
And then
You know.
also this solfeggio frequencies.
Mm,
The there's one that is very much related to the Aramaic and the Christ, the
yes.
900 frequencies and the 111 frequencies. Um, that's very helpful to just listen to those. You can even sleep with it, and it
Hmm.
can be very soothing and healing. Um, multidimensional communication, with the
Yes,
light.
yes, and
Yeah.
there's something that really came up just now, as because this is what's happening, because there's been many gifts that have been, manifesting as I go along, and in hypersensitivity to communication, and how communication uh, um, our communication flows uh, from ourselves to the planet, to with others, with us, within. It's all interconnected. There's like this grid, it's a like a unified communication. And but there's also a message of the authenticity, okay, of the tone, of the sacred note that we are emitting.
Mm.
And I say with caution, authenticity, because authenticity has been spoken a lot, you know, about, and does not always reflect, the many layers. And I'm not being in judgment, simply I'm complementing it, mm, with what's coming through, is that being authentic on your, on your rawness, let's call it this way, in your physical human body, doesn't mean you neglecting your multidimensionality. It doesn't mean that you've forgotten and you've put it inside a drawer. It doesn't mean that part of yourself was wrong because it was false, or because it wasn't, your team didn't listen to you, or no. It's all part of your integration and your embodiment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm? It's all
Yeah.
part of your integration. When you are speaking as a multidimensional being. Make no mistake. And this was like a clear message that I also got when I got, when that light shined through, that there were so many waves, so many layers, and I could visibly see them, but I could also feel them, of that multidimensionality. We're not here to negate that. No. We are here to speak that through
Mm-hmm.
us, to speak that through us, through our own voice of truth. Yes, not to diminish that. No, there's no diminishing, because that is part of who we are. We are multidimensional beings. And it's a big word, and it's really misunderstood, you know, really, because it's about what you said in the beginning. It's the dissension of that multidimension, all those the multidimensional aspects that then bring the wholeness to the new, to the human body, that then opens the channel, the chalice of love, because we are chalices of love walking here. And we're walking beside each other. We're not walking in silence here. But do not, for many, you embrace it, embrace all parts of yourself, because that's who we are. We are this
Mm.
allness. And when you speak from within that, you are reflecting all that.
Wow, thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing with us today, Yukia.
yeah,
And
pleasure.
I really appreciate you sharing your story, and I hope that you'll come back
I
to
will.
Gaia Art Bar and tell us how all of this is evolving in your life. And then I'll also include in the description
Hmm.
ways to reach out to you if
Yes,
somebody is resonating with what you're saying and wants to work with you or have a conversation with you, they can contact you.
yes.
And so that would be wonderful. And
Mhm. You are
so
welcome.
so can we close with uh light language transmission?
Yes,
And then we'll
yes.
close, we'll end, we'll do the transmission and then that's it, silence.
Okay,
So
beautiful.
thank you for joining us. And now
Thank
we
you
will
for
have
having me. It really, it was spontaneous, as we had connected with, already with that spontaneous flow, and it was beautiful. Thank you, Anna, for
thank
your
you.
presence. Um, Koita turi talahayamana shamihi kualali saratarahi shanahi alai avia quia layalainu hanai asara sururato lalealayalo sayalaliyama ikayalayasa shangalanea samnari samnahana moi hamoria haro hamoria hara samnera harato sukuru turu turu haruya haraturu alaya alaya me amshina yalaria sa yalaria sara hisha